Mm.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. So, well, I have shared my screen, so let's start. I'm not sure whether all the people are here, but we have to start. So, actually, this is the first class for the applied machine learning. Well, we should be in the lecture room and face to face, but we have a restriction over here, so we have to do the online course for the first lecture. But I believe next week we may go back to the face-to-face classroom. Well, we haven't received the final announcement from the university, but looks like it's very likely that back to the face-to-face next week. So that's good news for us. So I guess many of you attend the classroom so we can have a face-to-face lecture. So, unfortunately, today we have to give you an online lecture. This course is called Applied Machine Learning here, Applied Machine Learning, right? So, actually, this is a new course start from last year. Last year is the first time we designed this course, and this course actually is designed for those students who already have some experience of machine learning. So if you, I guess most of you are from the Master of Machine Learning degree, so which means you have learned some machine learning techniques and background knowledge from last semester, especially if you have choose the course of machine learning tools. That means you already have a lot of machine learning background knowledge. So in this course, we want to focus on this word, applied. So we want to focus on application. We want to teach you how can you use the machine learning tools and machine learning techniques for the real applications. So if you are expecting to learn some technical knowledge about machine learning, this is not the right course for you because, this course is only designed, to tell you, to teach you how when and why we should use machine learning in our daily life and in real applications, right? So this course is not for the students who want to learn the what's the meaning of a regression, what's the classification, what's the SVM. We will introduce some background knowledge, some very briefly information about those concepts, but we will not discuss a lot of details and mathematical things about the machine learning tools and techniques, right? So this course is mainly about how can we use machine learning in real industries in our real daily life. So according to the lecture format, as I mentioned, the first lecture, today's lecture will be online. COVID-19 restriction, and we are still waiting for the news from the university. Hopefully, next week we can go back to the normal style and go back to the face-to-face style to give you the lecture. But all the course will be online stream. So if you are still a remote student, you can still check the course while this Echo 360 that will be live streamed, and also we will also provide the recording of the course. Right? So, but the first course, today's course will be online. And and for the workshop format here, I simply listed it as a Zoom one, but because our first workshop will be on the 5th of August, I guess we will go back to the lecture room in August. So which means, our first workshop and all the following workshop will be in the lecture room. While we're still waiting for the news from university, and I will update this if I receive any news, and I will make an announcement about what's a lecture format. I need to wait for the news from the university. So now, any questions about this course? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. I can unmute you, And you can also type your message or question into the chat room, and I can see that question and I will answer them, right? Okay, so according to the goals of this course, as I mentioned, this course is not designed for the students who don't have any machine learning experience, right? So, well, basically we assume that you already learned some machine learning techniques. At least you know what is SVM, what is deep learning, and how you know that what kind of package, how to use Python, how to develop machine learning algorithms by using some existing package for the data you have, right? So basically in this course, we will not teach this kind of things. We will focus on understand where and why the machine learning tools are used in the industries, right? We basically we will give you a lot of user cases. That's I will introduce later. That's for our different sessions. So basically, we will not teach a lot of technical things. We will teach you whether we will show you a lot of like industry applications or real applications. Say, well, you see, this is a kind of application you can use machine learning to address, to solve, right? So basically, you need to select an appropriate method and tool for given problem and data sets, and you need to distinguish problems and data sets that are amenable to machine learning methods from those that are not. So you need to after learning this course, you will know, well, this data is suitable for machine learning, but this data is not, right? So and of course you need to know how to evaluate your project, evaluate your method, whether it's a successful application or not, whether it will be a popular one in the market. And you also need to design the data management procedures to enable the accurate application of the machine learning. So basically, this is goal. These are the goals of this course. If you don't have any experience of machine learning, if you haven't learned any things about machine learning, ask yourself whether I know the supervised machine learning, whether I know unsupervised machine learning, whether I can implement an SVM algorithm by myself. Well, ask yourself. If you cannot answer these questions, please let me know. Okay, so we can discuss what kind of things you can do, what kind of books, what kind of materials you need to read, before you do your project, because it's important, because we will not teach this kind of things in this course, right? So I received one question: is this course mainly based on the project? Yes. So that's assignment I will discuss later. So basically, the lecture of this course will be divided into. So before that, let's discuss this. The course, the textbook. Actually, we don't have any textbook for this course, as I mentioned. So this course is mainly about project. It's mainly about we show you some different user case studies, show you, well, these people use machine learning for this application, and that researcher use that kind of machine learning tools for that specific problem. So the whole course will be basically around the user cases, about the case studies. So that means we don't have any textbook. So this textbook is only for you to check what kind of algorithm you can use, right? So it's called Introduction to Machine Learning with Python. Because this is a project-based course, that means you need to actually implement some algorithms to or use some existing machine learning tools to solve the real problem you proposed. So that means you have to do some coding stuff. So this textbook is mainly for teach you how to use Python to code the machine learning algorithms. So this book is not free. So some students also ask. Let me check. I remember one student asked about the book. So there, So here is a discussion panel discussion session. You can post any questions you want to ask over here. Both me and Mingyu, and of course our tutors may go here to answer your questions. So here is a machine learning textbook available for download. So unfortunately, this is not a free book. You have to buy it, but there is a free online, free version of another machine learning book, which is called Pattern Recognition and Machine Learning, written by Bishop. So this is a very famous machine learning book. Actually, I think there's a master read machine learning book for if you want to be a machine learning expert. So this is, you can download this book for free. This is a very good book. But for this one, in this book, I don't think it teach you how to use Python package to code to implement the algorithm. It's basically about the mathematical theory about different machine learning techniques. So that's a textbook. And we also have some coding package. This is SCI K2Learn. I believe many of you, if you know the Kaggle challenge or something, believe you must know this one. This is a very good Python-based machine learning package. So basically, it has implemented a lot of machine learning algorithms like SVM, like linear classification, well, even deep learning deep learning models. So you can just use this package to implement some algorithm you want to use, or just to call the package. So basically, again, in this lecture, we don't want you to develop your own algorithm. When we say the novelty, if you check the assignment, we say we want to develop some novel project. When we say the novel or novelty, we're not asking you to design a new machine learning algorithm. We're not asking you to implement a new machine learning algorithm, right? So we want you to invent some new problem. So we want you look around to say, well, oh, I found one problem. This problem, well, has not been addressed before, or people have to use a lot of energy or use a lot of money to solve this problem. But I find if we have this kind of data, we have this kind of method, we can solve it by using machine learning. That's what we mean, the novelty. We want you to find out these problems, and we don't want you to implement a very new or novel algorithm that has never been appeared in the paper. So you can simply use, if you can find the data, right? If you can find the problem, you can simply use the existing algorithm. For example, you can simply use SVM to do the linear, to do the classification, right? If your problem is like image classification problem, you can simply use some existing deep learning models to solve your problem. We don't want you to spend well, a lot of time on implementing the algorithm. We want to spend time to think about what kind of problem could be addressed by using the machine learning, and what kind of algorithm is suitable for that, and what kind of experiment you have done, what kind of results you got. That's the major motivation of this course. Okay, so I have found some question here. So I'm a master's in data science in semester 1, have learned some statistical machine methods like regression, PCA as part of fundamental math course, but not in the machine learning or Python. What's your recommendation? Please. Well, yeah, it's good to well, okay, so let's first answer this question about the regression PCA. Yeah, it's good to know that you know the details about the regression and the PCA. There's some background knowledge. So, but it's better to know the classification, because that will be the most important method you will use in your in this project. So in your case, well, I think you can still stay in this course, because as I mentioned, you don't need very advanced machine learning techniques, but I want you to have some background knowledge. At least you know where you can find the material and where you can find the code to implement your own algorithm. So in your case, you have no experience of implementing of machine learning or Python. So in your case, I suggest you to read this book or read some to check the package of SCI Kit-Learn to try some simple algorithm like SVM. It's quite easy. We will introduce the SVM actually next week. So it's basically a very simple linear classification or nonlinear classification algorithm. So you have two kinds of data. You want to separate those data into two parts, so you can use SVM. So my suggestion is to check this coding package and first, and there are also many examples of how to use this package. To find one example by yourself and to see whether you can use the Python, this package, whether you can use Python to implement a very simple algorithm to classify the data, to try it by yourself. If you think it's fine for you, and I think it will be fine for you to take this course. Okay, so the next one is a few of us have come from doing artificial intelligence course taught in semester 1. We will learn about machine learning, but practical exercise, we coded the min-max algorithm with Browning, coded supervised learning algorithm, decision tree. That's enough. That's a good. That's good. So if you have learned to code like a supervised learning algorithm like a decision tree or SVM, that's totally enough for this course. And the natural language processing with no practical experience using. Yes, no, I don't think it's too advanced for you. As I mentioned, this course is mainly designed to ask you like when and why the machine learning tools are used in the industries. And I think your background could be enough. You already know how to write an algorithm of the decision tree, and you already have the background knowledge of the machine learning. So that's totally enough for this course. Having a background in Python is a must in this course plays well. Yes, that's a good question. Actually, no, because if you have experience of C++, it will be totally fine. Or if you only have experience of C, it will be fine because there are also many machine learning package which was written in the C++. And even if you know the MATLAB, that will be also enough. MATLAB is the simplest coding language I have ever seen. So if you have the experience of MATLAB, that will be enough because nowadays MATLAB also has a lot of machine learning packages. You don't need to write your own SVM. You don't need to write your own like linear regression layers. You don't need to write your own loss function. All these things have been implemented in the MATLAB. You simply call them, right? Call this function, call that function. That will be fine. So it's not necessary in this course. If you know the MATLAB, no C++, no C, that will be fine. But the case is that you can find the algorithm you want to use from those packages. Okay. Will this course focus mathematics? No, never. So in this course, we will not teach any mathematical things. So as I mentioned, actually in this course, we will show you different case studies. We will invite a lot of speakers, guest speakers. They are the expert in different areas. Some people are from the university, they are researchers, and they are developing algorithms. Different organizations or companies. For example, a case study is about machine learning in primary industry and mining. So we invited Asan, a postdoc researcher from the Australian Institute for Machine Learning. He will come here to introduce how they use machine learning algorithm to improve the efficiency for the primary industry and mining. And we also invited, last year, we also invited the CTO from the Consilium, which is a local machine learning company, startup company. He introduced, what's the business model of their company. It's an AI company. What's the business model and what kind of algorithm they are developing for their customers. So basically, this course is totally a case study course. We will invite different speakers come here to show their examples. So yeah, that's a question. So let me continue. So as I mentioned, we have different sessions for this course. We divided the course into 4 types of sessions. The first one is called technical lecture. So basically, in this session, I will introduce modern machine learning theory and the technologies. For example, in the first technical session, I will introduce some basic things about machine learning, like what is machine learning. I assume you already know that, but still I will spend some time to recall some concept, because maybe some of you learned it from last semester or previous year. So I will use this technical session to recall some concept we have learned, like what is supervised learning, what is unsupervised learning, what is the reinforcement learning, right? So what kind of algorithm can be used for what kind of applications. And in one technical session in September, I will introduce deep learning, right, which is one of the most hot topics in current AI. Basically, I think this round of AI, it's very hot. It's mainly because of deep learning, right? Without deep learning, without the use of deep learning in computer vision and natural language processing, we don't have this round of AI hot. So. And there is another technical session. I want to introduce some machine learning in the computer vision and the natural language processing, because we know actually, well, machine learning is basically some mathematical things, but there are 2 big directions in the machine learning. One direction is computer vision. So in computer vision, we try to use machine learning techniques to understand image and videos. And another direction is NLP, the natural language processing, right? We want to use machine learning tools to understand the natural language and to, for example, machine translation or machine dialogue. So that's the only 3 technical sessions in this course. And the second type of this one, which is most important one actually in this course, is called case study lecture. We will invite speakers and machine learning experts come here to present how they use machine learning tools in the real life. The first case study is about machine learning primary industry and mining. The second case study is about medical AI, so which is also a very hot topic in AI. So how can we use AI in the medical industry, like invent medicines, or just develop some algorithm to automatically generate medical report. And it's also very important for the COVID-19, because people already use machine learning, the computer vision tools to recognize the medical images, whether one patient has COVID-19 or not. So, and we also have the case study like AI in space and AI in art. So we have a group of people in AMO, the Australian Institute for Machine Learning, are studying how can we use machine learning algorithm, how can we use artificial intelligence in the space, right? So to help us to identify the satellites, to clean our environment, right? So this is AI in space and AI in art, which is also a very interesting topic. How can we use AI to generate different art styles, generate pictures, generate music? So this is called AI in art. And the third part of the course is about a project session, because as I mentioned, this course is basically a project-based course. So we don't have examination. That's good to you. So we don't have examination, but the whole the assignment, the whole assignment, which I will introduce later, is about a project. You need to define your own project. You need to find out what kind of problem you want to solve. Of course, we will help you. You can discuss with us, like, well, this is my problem. Is that a good problem? We can discuss with you. And if you have any questions, you can ask. So it's a project session. So in project sessions, you will do your presentation. right? So you will like present your classmates and me and the other tutors about what's your project, what's your data, and what kind of algorithm you want to use, what kind of results you got, right? So basically, in project session, we have the pinch presentation. Basically, in this one, you need to have a general idea about your project. You say, well, this is my problem. Right? You can do your brainstorm. You say, this is my problem, and I want to solve it. I find well, some people use this algorithm to solve that. Some people use this algorithm to solve that, but no people use machine learning to solve this problem. Or there are some problems. So some machine learning tools have been designed to solve this problem, but they miss this point. I want to, I found this gap. I want to find some algorithm to solve this problem. That's a pinch presentation. You can use a 3 minutes presentation to tell us what's the problem you want to study in the next few weeks. So that's the first project session. Then the second project session is about data presentation. As I mentioned, so well, some of you are from master of machine learning, some of you are from master of data science, right? So the most important thing in the machine learning actually is data, right? So you need to, if you look, you find a problem, you say, well, for example, I want to solve an issue like I want to predict the house pricing according to the for example, land size, right? It's an easy problem. It has been addressed, right? I want to design some machine learning algorithm to predict the house price based on the land size. So that's you see, that's my problem, right? So you presented your problem. We say, well, that's a good problem. You can continue. Then you need to find out what kind of data you can use, right? There are lots of data online, public available data set. You can download from that website, and you can also actually find your data by yourself. For example, try to get some data from the web page. I suggest you use some existing data. It will be easier for you. That's a data print. This is about the data presentation, right? You need to discuss what's a data source. So what kind of things you can learn from this data, right? So that's a data presentation. And we also have the methodology presentation, right? Around the September, which is third project session. So in this project session, you also have to do another presentation about what kind of algorithm you want to use to solve this problem. Right? You find the problem, that's good. You find the data source, okay. Then the next step is to find out what kind of machine learning algorithm. For example, you say, well, my problem is, for example, as I mentioned, I want to predict the house price by using land size. It's not a classification problem. It's a regression problem. Okay, you say this is a regression problem. So I want to use some regression algorithm. So here is the regression algorithm I propose to use. You can explain the algorithm. You can explain why you want to use that algorithm. What's your expecting results you can get from that algorithm in this session, in this project presentation, right? So for example, if you have another problem, which is the classification, which is a supervised classification problem, then you can tell us what kind of technology, what kind of algorithm you want to use. You say, well, I will just use a simple SVM. You say, well, SVM is not strong enough, then I want to use a deep learning algorithm, which is much stronger classifier. And what kind of model you want to use for your deep learning, you can discuss it in this project session. Then the final project session is the final presentation. So basically, you are supposed to submit a final report and final presentation about the whole process. Like it's like a final report or final. It's like a technical paper. You have the abstract. You have the introduction. Say what's the motivation of your project? Why this problem is important? And you can have a related work section. Say, well, what's the history? What's the related work about this direction? For example, if you want to study like me predicting house price by using land size, you need to list the previous work and say what's the difference between your work and their work. And you have the method part to explain what kind of machine learning algorithm you used to solve this problem. And you also have the experiment section to explain the results you have got. You have the conclusion section, right? So then you give us a final presentation, and in your report, in your final presentation, you may well, some students may ask, well, what happened if I cannot get good results? For example, my goal is to predict the house price by using the Landsat, but finally I found that I cannot do that. I cannot predict the house price by using the Landsat because we don't have enough data or the algorithm is not good. That's okay. That's everything you want to learn from this project. That's everything you want to learn from this course. So we are not like a examination, like you must get 99% accuracy, or you must answer this is right, tick this, tick that. No, this is a project session, right? It's a project course. So everything you learn from this project is like, you know, when and why the algorithm, when and why the machine learning can be helpful. And of course, if you can learn that when and why the machine learning cannot be helpful for this, direction or for this application, it's also very useful. That's also good for you, good for this course, right? So we're not asking you to implement an algorithm to achieve like 100% accuracy on some specific applications. So that's about the project session, and I will introduce the assignment later, so you will get more details. And we also have the workshop. So workshop is I think on Friday, right? So we have 2 workshop sessions. So you are divided into 2 groups. One group is on the first day, and the second group second day. Right? So what for the workshop, basically it will be assignment discussion and the machine learning tools and tutorials. Me or our tutor will go to the workshop session. It's also the face-to-face session. So we in the first workshop, I guess you will have a lot of problems about your project. In the first few weeks, like first 1 or 2 weeks, you will find it's very hard to find out your own problem you want to study in this semester. It's fine. Go to that workshop. We can discuss with you about your idea. You can list some ideas. You say, well, I have 5 ideas. You can you can show them to your tutor or show them to me. So you can ask which one is good. We can tell you, oh, this might be interesting. This one has been studied before. So we can discuss your idea. And if you don't have any idea, that's fine. In the workshop session, if we have time, we can help you to pinch an idea. We can you can tell us your background. For example, some students may work in the industry before, for example, from the primary or mining, from education. Some people from education say, well, whether we can develop some tools. Well, in my job, I find some problems, or in my daily life, I find some problems. Either we can solve it by using the machine learning tools, then we can pinch an idea with you. So in other workshop sessions, basically we will show you some tools you might use in your project. For example, we will introduce the machine learning data and the pre-processing, right? So you got some raw data from the website. Maybe it's not maybe it's too noisy. You cannot use it for machine learning, or you cannot input it into your model. So we need to use some pre-processing technique to process those data. So we will introduce some pre-processing algorithm or techniques to help you to clean your data. And also machine learning tools. We will introduce, for example, MATLAB. It has a lot of implemented machine learning algorithm. We will introduce like PyTorch. If you know the deep learning, you must know the PyTorch and TensorFlow, which is from Google. Both PyTorch and TensorFlow are based on Python, and they have been used widely in deep learning. So if you say, well, my project is very hard project, it has lots of, I have millions of data to process, and I want to use, I cannot use SVM or linear classification to solve this problem. I need to use deep learning. I need to use a CNN, a convolutional neural network to solve the image classification problem, or I want to use a recurrent neural network, or you want to use a BERT. I'm not sure how many of you know the BERT, which is a very famous language model. Currently, if you want to use that, you definitely to use deep learning tools. So we introduce like PyTorch and TensorFlow. And the evaluation metric, because in your project, you also need to evaluate, right? So you have the problem, you have the data, you design the algorithm, people want to know, well, for example, one day you want to sell your project, you want to sell your application, you need to show people what's the accuracy. For example, you say, well, for example, for me, to predict the house pricing by using the land size, I say, well, my accuracy is like 99%. Well, it's good, right? So, but we need to know what's the meaning of the 99%. What's the accuracy? How do you evaluate? So, what kind of evaluation matrix you can use? It's just an accuracy. Well, is that, for example, if it's some other problem, you may need to use the IOU, the intersection of union, or the recall. Recall score or perception score. There are so many different evaluation metrics you can use for the machine learning applications. So we can help you to find out what kind of evaluation metrics or methods you can use for your project, right? And for the and we also have the project QA session, which is basically if you have any questions about your project, we will be here to answer your question about your project. And we also have the feedback session, which is also about the project, right? So we will adjust this kind of things based on your project progress. I guess most of you will be well, worried about the project itself. So you want to ask a lot of questions about your project. So that's why for the last two sessions, it's all about the project, right? Okay, so that's basically the contents of the course. So let me check whether there are many questions. Is this project individual? Yes, it's an individual project. It's not a group project. It's 100%. For this course, so we don't have examination, we don't have online test, we don't have in-class tests or intermediate tests. It's basically just a whole project, but it must be individual. Okay. So I've been doing my master of computer science research project around the generative advisory networks to do image processing style transfer. And I haven't learned machine learning and AI system in a course. The knowledge I had is obtained by myself, and specific around my research question is kind of, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think that's enough. So I can see, well, it looks like you already got some very valuable experience, like generating advisory, like a generative advisory network, deep convolutional neural network, to image processing and style transfer. This is actually a very high-level research area in computer vision. If you know how to do this, you must already have a lot of background knowledge about machine learning, although you have learned that before. Well, I think this background knowledge is totally enough for you. But be careful, you cannot use that project for this project. Okay, so we will do the cross check. You cannot use a project from another course for this one. Okay, be careful of that. So is the project individual job or teamwork? Yeah, so yeah, it's an individual project. So sounds there are many face-to-face sessions. Is this the right course for remote students? Yeah, so this is actually this course was designed for the remote students, but let me check. So I haven't received the information about how many percentage of the students are from are remote enrolled, right? So I know many of you actually are here, so it will be the face-to-face session. The university asked us to put this course as a face-to-face course, but still we will do the recording and we will do the online streaming. So for the workshop, it might be a problem because the for this part, for the course part, it will be totally fine because for the case study, it will be recorded, it will be online live streaming, and for the technical session, it's same. And for the project session, we will try to divide it. We will try to divide it into two groups. One group is local students, face-to-face students, and one group is the students online. So you can do the online presentation. So we have our tutor or another lecturer to check the online session. So it shouldn't be there shouldn't be any problem of that one. And the problem is a workshop session. So we will do the online. We will also do the online streaming for that one. But because there are many discussion things in the workshop, what we will do is we can set up a discussion section for online students. So it will be a Zoom session. So we can just like today, right? We go on the Zoom and all the remote students come here. And if you have any question, you want to discuss your idea, it's okay. We can do the Zoom, and you can also make an appointment with me or our tutor. You simply send us an email, say, well, this is my project. I want to have some feedback. Can we have an appointment? Can we discuss it? We will try to arrange a time with you to discuss your project. And for those tutorial things, like machine learning data or pre-processing, those technical things, it will be same for both local students and the remote students. The difference is the discussion session. For the discussion session, we may set a Zoom session, or we can have individual appointment if you want to have one. And you can also post your problem in the discussion section, as I mentioned. So you can post your question, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. And you also can directly send me a message or send our tutor a message. I suggest you to send our tutor a message because he will be the major person who will in charge of the project, the assignment. So here our lecture. So I'm the course coordinator of this course. This is my email address. I'm in the AMO building. So if you are local students, if you are not remote students, if you still want to have an appointment with me face to face, it's okay. Send me a message. We can arrange a meeting. And we have another lecture, which is Mingyu, but I think Mingyu will cover the final final 4 sessions, and all the other sessions will be covered by me. And we also have the tutor. Our tutor is called Madi. So if you have any questions about the workshop session or discussion about the project, you can send me a message or send our tutor Mahadi a message. Okay, so one question: are project presentations in person or online? Yeah, as I mentioned, when the date is closed, or because we don't know, we haven't received any message from university whether what happened in the next few weeks. Maybe we have another restriction, we have another lockdown, so we have to go back to the online again. So all the materials, all the discussions, all the presentations will be online. Right, so it depends on the situation. If everything is good, then that means we will have both online and in-person session for the project presentation. We will try to divide them your guys into 2 groups. One group go to the classroom to do the in-person presentation. I'm happy to join the in-person presentation. It will be interesting. I'm happy to ask a lot of questions. It will be interesting. So and we also can organize a time for the remote students to do the online presentation. I will also attend. All our tutor will attend. So to discuss with your project. Right? So we will have both. But it really depends on the situation. So does the project novel idea need to attempt to solve a real world problem, or can it be a trivial problem? Well, yeah, it's case by case. It's very hard to find. It's very hard to define whether a problem is a novel problem, whether a problem is a real world problem or a trivial problem. So, well, I'm leaning to ask you to solve some real world problem because this is for application. So basically we want you to develop some tools or develop some algorithm that can be used to even used to develop some app on the iPhone or on any phone to help people to solve real problem. So I prefer, to solve the real world problem. But I know there are also some problem like if you know the Kaggle challenge, right? So in the Kaggle challenge, there are many trivial problems, many fake problems like this is data. That's a problem we want to solve, and what kind of algorithm you can use to solve that problem. I know there are many challenges on the Kaggle. It's also okay, but you need to be careful in your presentation or in your report or in your motivation. You need to clearly give us an idea that why this trivial problem important, right? Why this have the connection with the real application. Solve this problem may solve some real application problem. Solve this problem may lead to some real application in this world. If you can solve this, it's also fine. Okay, so I wish I had answered the question. So any questions so far? You can type it in the chat room. You can also directly unmute yourself and to ask if you want to. A project presentation in September time or workshop? No. So here, sorry if I'm not clear. So the first presentation is called Pinch presentation, which will be happened on 17th of August in the lecture time, right? So it will be a Pinch presentation. So in the first presentation, you only need to talk about your idea. You just tell us what's your idea, why it's important, why it's interesting. And in the second presentation, so basically there will be 4 presentations, right? 4 presentations. First one is on August 17th of August. The second one is 31st of August, which is about the data set you want to use. You just you just use a presentation to tell us what kind of data set you want to use. And the third one will be on 13th of September. It's called methodology presentation. It's a presentation about your method, right? So you need to discuss, like you need to present, like what kind of method, for example, SVM, deep learning, what kind of method you want to use. And here is also the final presentation, which is about the whole project. So there will be 4 project presentations from 17th of August to the end of the semester, which is 26th of October. So yeah, can we use preview dataset or do we need to source generate? I prefer you to use the preview the datasets for this project, right? So if you want to source and if you want to source and generate your own dataset, that will be too hard for this project. You will spend, because yeah, I guess you will spend a lot of time to find out the raw data, and you will find it hard to clean those data sets. And I prefer you to use a preview data sets, right? Yeah, find a problem, and you don't need to use after you identify the problem, you don't need to use exact well the ideal data set for this problem. You can say, well, this is my problem, but I cannot find the existing data set. But I find this data set might be useful to solve this problem. This data set is very close to this one. So I want to use data set to try to solve this problem. That will be okay. Okay. So I prefer to use a preview data set. So don't try to, if you want to source or generate your own data set, before you do that, come to me. Okay, ask me, and we can discuss it and discuss whether it's worth to generate your own data set, or whether we can localize some data set, or whether we can identify some data set for you. Okay. So are the presentations printed on the day or pre-recorded? On the day, please. It's live. Well, for the in-person, if it's in-person face-to-face, of course on that day. If it's online, so if you don't have time for that one, so you can do the pre-recording for your presentation, but you also because we want to ask questions for the presentation. If you I will show you the marking scheme for the presentation and for the assignment actually, because in your presentation we will, or your classmates will ask questions. So I pray for you to attend the presentation session, no matter in person or online, because we want to ask questions. If you don't have time, if you have the right reason, right excuse to say I cannot attend that day's presentation, please let me know individually, and we can see what we can do. We can arrange another time, or we can see what we can do. Okay. So, are there any recommended websites or get a data set? Yes, I will show you later. So actually the second half of this course is about the assignment, about the project. I can show you some websites, show you some papers about what kind of problems are interesting, what kind of things what kind of project you can find from the website, what kind of data set you can looking for from the website. I will talk about that later. And if you already have some ideas about your project, you can ask here. You can ask here and we can discuss. I'm happy to do that in the second half of today's course, okay? So do we need to follow a standard format to present our project on the paper and attach the data? No, no. So for the presentation, no, you don't have. We don't have any standard format. So for the final report, we may have a standard format. For example, I'm not sure how many of you used the LaTeX before. So I prefer to receive a report like a paper. So for example, I can show you some. Let me see whether I can find some papers. Okay, so here is a CVPR paper. CVPR is the best conference in the computer vision. So I prefer if you can submit a report like following this format. So as you can see, we have the title, the name, the abstract, the introduction, and all this is this is basically standard format of the research paper. So if you can submit your project or submit your final report by using this format, that will be cool. And I can share this format to you later, or you can just search it online, CVPR LaTeX template. It will be fine. But well, if you want to use other templates, that's fine. It's okay. We don't marking based on your format. We mark based on your content. Okay. And for the presentation, no any format. You can use any format you want, but we have a time restriction. It depends. We will check how many students, because I guess some students will enroll to our course later, and some students will leave later. So after we finally know how many students we have, we will divide the we will divide you into different groups. So for example, maybe one student has 3 to 5 minutes to present their project for each session, right? So we don't have any format restriction, but we do have a time restriction during the presentation. Yes, we use this format. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so if you that's good to know. And we see one of the final report from last year. Yes, yeah, I will find some good examples from last year and put it on the My Union. Okay, so I will find 2 or 3 good examples from last year and put it on the My Union. You can check out. And I guess I can find all the presentations and final reports, those kind of things. I will pack it and put it online so you can have a look what the format looks like. But honestly, we don't mark based on the format, just for easy, for us to mark easily. Okay. I cannot see any questions. Yes, I think that. So now it's 2 o'clock. So maybe let's have a rest. Let's have like a 10 minutes rest and come back 2 and 10. Then we can continue our course. Basically, what I will do in the next second half of today's lecture is I will talk about the assignment. I will show you more details about the assignment and what's the marking scheme. Like, well, this part is 20%, this part is 30%. Then I can show you some websites, also show you some papers, show you some sources that where can you find some good project. And during the break, you can also think about what kind of project you want to do in this for this course. And if you want to, you can post your message in the chat room, or you can directly, ask me by unmute yourself, and we can discuss. I'm happy to do that. Okay, so let's have a rest now. We'll stop sharing. Let's come back to and 10. Okay. Okay, hello everyone, welcome back. So as I promised, so in the second half of today's lecture, I will discuss our assignments. So, okay, so if you click the assignments section, you can find we have actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of assignments. So, but of course, at first I want you to read this one at first, which is about the description of this assignment. So basically, in this project, you will start with the data source you need to find by yourself, right? And the question identified by yourself. So what I suggest, so you can do it other ways, right? You can find out a question at first, then with that question to find out data set, or maybe you can find a useful data set and first and ask a question about that data set, right? So if you find very interesting data, for example, if you see, oh, there's the data about all the stock price in the last few years, and what kind of things I can do with that, whether I can predict the stock price by using some index or something. You can find the data set at first, then ask a question about that data set and see whether you can use machine learning to solve that. Of course, you have to make sure it's interesting, it's motivated, it's a novel problem. So that means you also need to do some background searching to see whether there are some other similar tools, similar algorithms to solve that problem, right? Or you can ask yourself a question. You ask a question, you say, well, whether I can predict the house price by using the land size, or predict house price by using some other index, or use other parameters. Ask yourself a question. Then based on that question, you try to search the data by yourself, search it online, whether there are any data that fit your question. So you can do it either ways, right? So yeah, so you need to identify the data set, identify the question, and you then with the machine learning tools, then carry out that analysis and then present your question and its answer as an oral presentation and a technical report. That's a full description about this project. So basically, yeah, that's a process. Find the data or question, trying to find an algorithm, machine learning must be algorithm to solve to solve that problem. Then turn it into presentation or turn it into and turn it into a technical paper and show us, and we will mark based on that. So yeah, Chris asks, do you have any suggestions as to where to find data sets? Are we mainly going to be looking at data sets on Kaggle? No, yeah, I will introduce later, right? As I mentioned in the last session, I will introduce some websites, some source that you can find the interesting data set or interesting questions by yourself. And would you mind mentioning it again regarding data source? Could we create our data source? Yes, for the data source, well, I prefer you to find some existing one because it will be easier for you. But if you want to create your own data source, if you want to create your own data set, for example, if you say, if you are working, if you want to solve an image classification problem, for example, you want to solve a hand drawing problem, of course, there are already many existing hand drawing or handwriting data set online. But if you really want to create that, that's okay, right? But it will take you a lot of time. Be careful of that. But yeah, you can create your own data source. But I prefer you find the existing one because that will be easier for you. Okay. But yeah, you're welcome to create your own data set. And if you want to create your own one, you can talk to me. I can give you some suggestion. Like, well, you don't need, for example, maybe we can find the existing one for you. Say, well, this existing one, you can use this one directly. There's no need to create a new one. Or maybe your problem is so novel, so interesting, or it's a very specific problem, and there's no any existing data set. You have to create one. Yeah, and you want to create one. That's okay. Yeah, you can do that. Okay, so let's go back to data set. Later, I will show you what kind of source you can use. I will not directly give you the data set, but I will let you know what kind of source, what kind of website you can go to find out the data set. Okay, so yeah, Kaggle, you mentioned Kaggle. Kaggle is definitely one of the source you can use. There are so many different data sets and they are very good, very well labeled. But one thing is that most of the data set provided by Kaggle, the problem itself is that novel, right? It's not an interesting problem anymore. So, for example, recognize a face detection, face recognition, image classification, recognize letter. The problem itself is not interesting anymore, right? So that's not our motivation. Our motivation is not to ask you to implement some better algorithm to solve a problem with 1% improvement of the accuracy. What we want is to you can find a real problem in your daily life, and find the data set, to solve that. That would be much more interesting. But of course, if you say, well, I have a data set from Kaggle, and I noticed there's one interesting problem never being asked for this data set, then I want to solve that problem. That's totally fine, right? A Kaggle data set is well labeled, it's fine, right? The important thing is whether your problem, whether your question is interesting. It's not about whether your data set is interesting. The key point is whether your question, whether your problem, whether your application will be interesting, right? So yeah, the phases of the project, there are 4 steps. First one, which is pinch. Basically, you pinch your idea to get a group feedback. As I mentioned, the idea itself should be novel and significant, right? So significant is a strong word over here. Well, it can be a small problem. Small problem is also very significant, very interesting. It can be part of the big problem. You can see, well, my vision, well, this is a big project. It might be 5 years. It's a big problem. I have a longer vision, but to solve this one, I need to solve part of that, like only a small part of that. It's okay, right? So that means this is also a significant problem. And of course, more novel your problem is, more marks you can get in this part, get from the pinch idea part, right? So data and project goals, which will be happening now in week 6. You must identify a suitable data source and connect it to your project goals. So basically, that means you have 4 weeks to think about your idea, right? And another 2 weeks, you need to find out the data set you want to use. Then the third step is about the methodology. You need to, after you find out your data set, then you have to find out what kind of algorithm you want to address, right? So you need to print your work in progress for more feedback. But this time you want to mainly focus on the method part, not the problem, not the data set, right? To show us what kind of algorithm you want to use to address. That's why I mentioned you need to have some background knowledge about the machine learning. If you don't have any background of machine learning, you have no idea. You already get the right question or right data set. You have no idea what kind of algorithm you can use to solve this problem, right? You don't know whether should I use a classification or detection or unsupervised learning or reinforcement learning, what kind of algorithm you can use, right? If you have some background knowledge, at least you know where to find those algorithms. We don't need you to, write or don't need you to implement a very advanced algorithm. You can use very standard package. You can use existing method, right? Don't focus on the method itself. Focus on the whole project, the problem itself. The best way is to use some existing method to solve a non-existing problem, right? So use an existing method to solve a novel problem. That will be the best one for this project, okay? And the first step is the final presentation and the delivery. So basically you need to present your final presentation to the group, and you can also submit, you also submit for the marking, you submit the presentation, you submit a report, and of course you need to submit your code. Right, so you just pack it and submit to your submit your code. Okay. Okay, so yeah, during the whole project, if you have any questions, so just email me or send it to the discussion panel, and we can try our best to answer your questions. So there's one more question. Can we associate with any startup and work on some real world project, solve the problem using ML? Yes, you can. So actually last year, there are 2 students who are the interns in some company, and who they got some very interesting data, but you need to discuss with your company to see whether I can use this data for one of my master project, you need to discuss with your company to say whether you can use that. If it's okay, if you solve the privacy problem, definitely you can use that data set, and you can propose some really interesting questions based on those new data set. That's totally fine, but make sure you check with your company. Okay. Yeah, I know there are many startups in Australia or also in China and other countries, other AI startup companies. They have very interesting problem, have never been studied before, and they also got a lot of data set. It's good to show that. It's good. And later, actually, there's one page I prepared, which is about the startup companies which recently founded, and we can discuss what kind of problem what kind of questions that they ask, and what kind of applications they want to develop. So you can also find some ideas from this. We can discuss it later. Let's finish this assignment at first. Yeah, if you have any question, just post it here. I can answer anytime. So yeah, marking, which is very important. So the project was 100% of your final mark. We don't have hurdle. Okay, we don't have hurdle for this assignment. So don't worry about that one. So the pinch is 10%, data in the project, which is 15%, methodology 20%. Software analysis and presentation, which is 25%. So all these 4 parts are about the presentation and the materials you show to us, right? And finally, you have to submit your final report, which is like the format I show you, right? So which will be 30%. And there is also one mini report in the methodology part, because it's the middle of your project. We want to see a mini report about your pinched idea, about your data source, about the method you used, right? So yeah, there's a mini report. Actually, later I will show you even for each small assignment, we also have a very clear marking scheme to show you how we mark the project. And your final report will allow you to explain the whole process. And of course, that means you should keep a log through the whole development process of making this easier. Well, even you find, last year, some students actually asked me whether they can adjust their goals in the middle. Yes, okay. If you find, for example, in the pinch session, in the pinch step, you define a good problem, but later you find that problem might be too big or too hard to solve. You can adjust it, it's fine. So, but make sure you write it in the report. As I mentioned, the learning process is very important for this project. It's not, the whole project is not about whether the project, we will not mark based on whether this is a successful project or not. We will mark your learning process. Okay, we will mark based on what kind of sense you learn, whether you find a good problem, it's an interesting problem, even you cannot solve it, right? So, but you are try your best to find the way. You try this, try that. It doesn't work. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't work, right? So we are more care about your learning process. So here is the final report. Spelling, grammar, layout, which is 5%, is basically about spelling and grammar. Layout is about whether, for example, some students may miss the related work. They don't have anything in the related work. You will miss some point. You will miss some marks about that. But we don't mark based on the format. Okay, so any format will be fine. But you have to have a right layout. So. And the length, yeah, at least 6 pages of the content. But I see the 6 pages, at least 6 pages. I see this version. I see the CVPR format. Okay, if you don't use this format, then we will check, whether it's the right amount of length or right amount of content. Right? And you need to discuss how you achieve the base goals, including overcoming and obstacles and the resources used. You can see this is the most important part. So we cares about your, learning process. So it's about 40%. and the project novelty and the significance, and what you learn, which is 15%, and the reference and resources used, which is 10%. As you can see, we didn't we will not narrow your success. We will not narrow, whether this is a good project or not based on whether you get 100% accuracy or 90% accuracy. No, we care about what kind of things you have learned from this project. We want you to know, well, through this project, you will get an idea about, okay, after you graduate, after you find a job in the machine learning market, in the AI market, you need to know, how to define the problem, how to find out the source to solve that problem. We want you to do that. And of course, during the lecture, we will ask some guest speaker come here, guest lecturer come here to show their successful cases, right? So you will get more idea about what's a successful project. So that's a marking, and basically that's the core goals of this project, of this assignment. So here I gave you some examples like bio machine learning related project, for example, learning to read the digits from images, predict stock price based on history data, cluster geo data based on location, mine social media sentiment. Well, these are not novel, okay? These are just some projects. So you have a general idea about what kind of machine learning project we are expecting, right? So basically, this project that we need to use a machine learning to solve. That doesn't mean this project are ideal project because they are not novel. They are project from previous years. And the fake news detection, COVID-19 trend using machine learning. Oh, this is quite new last year, actually, COVID-19 trend using machine learning. Right? You can predict the trend based on different parameters you can have. Well, it's easy to find those data. This is also a very interesting one, right? Based on, it depends on what kind of angle you choose, right? You can based on different parameters to predict the trend. It's okay. So yeah, as novel as possible, and some other goals, right, connected to real life cases. So we don't want you to solve a problem like it's a fake problem to never be used in our daily life, right? You can, as I mentioned, you can find some data from Kaggle that are not real. They are not real life cases. But if you can convincing us that this can have some connection with real life cases, that's okay, right? So that's about the assignment. So make sure you read this one carefully, and if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, read this first. And I think I also post all this. This is about the pinch in the marking. So basically, we will not mark based on your about your presentation skills, right? This course is not about, although we want to do a presentation, but this course is not about the presentation skills. What we want to judge is based on your presentation, what kind of information you give us, like presentation clarity, the slides itself, basically what kind of materials included in the slides, and idea novelty significance, and the clear planning. That's for the pinch, right? Because in the pinch, you need to give us a roadmap. Like in the next 2 weeks, I will find the data, like what's the target website I will looking forward to trying to find out the data, and maybe what kind of method I can use, right? So you give us a roadmap. So it's called clear planning. So this is 10 marks for the pinch. And data and the project goals. Here we have the presentation, data visualization, data quality, and data preparation. So we also have a clear explanation for different things. So this is how we mark for the data and project goals. And the third presentation methodology. And again, we have very detailed explanation how will we mark your presentation and the mini report. Okay. So for example, machine learning method, whether you have used the suitable tool sets and what kind of evaluation matrix you want to choose in your methodology part, right? So you have 10 marks for the presentation, 10 marks for the mini report. And you also, the final presentation, basically software analysis and the presentation. So yeah, results. So yeah, again, in the for the results, it's 10 marks. It's not the marking for like what's the percentage, what's the accuracy you get. It's about the discussion, right? You have to show the result. If well, you will have no marks if you don't have results, right? Results means if you say, well, this is a failed project, I failed, right? I don't get any good performance of the model is failed. It's okay, but you need to discuss it, why it's failed. That's the results, right? So what's the percentage, what's the accuracy? Maybe it's just 1%. So show us, right? So it's what that's the meaning of the results, but it's not the meaning of the accuracy, right? So that's about the software and analysis and presentation, and the final report, which is 30%. Here is the final report marking scheme, and yeah, according to the format, you can follow this one, or you can use any format you want to use. That's it. So that's the details of the assignment. So I can see there's a question, are we need to a lot amount of implementation in this course? Well, you need some implementation, but not a lot. What we want to do, as I mentioned, the motivation of this course is to teach you how, where and why we should use machine learning for our daily applications, right? So we don't want to turn it into some technical course or methodology course, right? So you need to implement, but it's totally fine. And we encourage you to use some existing method, existing code, existing package to solve your own problem, right? So the problem is whether your own problem is interesting, whether your own problem is good. So the method itself is, we prefer you to use some, we encourage you to use some existing one. So I know the course is focused on industry, but can I do something that could be interesting for the public sector? Yes, definitely. As we encourage you to do this, not only for the industry, right? When I say industry, I mean it means a lot of things. Public sector is also kind of industry, right? So yeah, you can do it for health, education, industry, public sector, any if it is related to our daily life, we can do that. Does everyone choosing problem have to be different? It's a hard problem. We don't want to, so it's because this is an individual project, so we don't want you to discuss with each other. So so that will be in a pitch session. That will be the first time you know each other's project, because you can attend that session. You can ask a question to your classmates about the project. But before that, we don't want any of you discuss your project with your classmate or use the same project. You can discuss publicly, discuss with me, or discuss in the room, but yeah, it's not good to, it's because it's an individual project, so but well, finally, if you find you have the same idea, well, yeah, it has a minor chance. I don't think the chance is big, but we can see. Yeah, we can discuss it case by case. Okay. Yeah, what if people accidentally have same project? Yeah, let's discuss it case by case. Last semester, it didn't happen. I never see two students have the exactly same project. If it's the same, then maybe that means that project is not that novel one. It's mine. Everyone can know that project, and it's not a novel one, right? So that means that project has been solved by someone else. So that means it's not novel. So my experience from the last semester is that yeah, we don't see any repeat or or same or even similar project. There are some for example, for the computer vision, I know there are some like digital recognition project, but it's not exactly the same. They have different angles, right? So let's see. So if it happened, yeah, let's discuss it case by case. Yeah. Currently, I have no idea. Yeah, I prefer not to say that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if no more questions, so now let's discuss where. So yeah, you must ask where can we find out those interesting projects? What kind where can we find those interesting data sets? So one source is from the artificial intelligence conference. So there are several so there are several different conferences. For example, we have the we have ICML, right? So ICML, which is the International Conference of Machine Learning. So this is a course. Sorry, this is a conference for like the major conference for the machine learning. But for this conference, it's mainly about the theory of the machine learning, mathematical things about machine learning. And I find, and you also can search like CVPR. CVPR is CVPR. Yeah, computer vision, which is the best conference of the computer vision. So you can check the, let's try CVPR 2020. So CVPR 2020. So okay, so one program. Yeah, you can see the paper title, unsupervised learning of population metric deformable 3D object from images in the wild. This is typical, research paper about the computer vision. So read those titles, and if you have interest, read those applications. So basically all these papers include a data set, right? It provides, so computer vision conference papers provide you some computer vision or image or video related data sets. You can find those data sets from those papers, right? That's one source from the one source that you can use to localize your data set. So check the recent conference. So I can let you know, I can post here actually. So we have ICML, we have the AI, we have CVPR, and we have ICCV, and let me use a small. Minute. Okay, so yeah, we have ICML. We have the NIPS. All this, both of these conferences are. Can you see this one? Right? I think you can see this one. So both of these two conferences are like machine learning conferences, and they are top tier machine learning conferences, but they are more theoretical about the theory of machine learning. So you can read them, you can find some source from them, but I guess most of them are theoretical. And for the computer vision, so for example, if you want to find some application about the image from the visual side, you can go to the CVPR, ICCV, ECCV. There's three top tier conferences from the computer vision side. So you read those titles of the papers, and read the you can find, if you open the paper, you can find the data set. So that's a computer vision. So if you want to work on the NLP, so if you want to solve some application that is related to the natural language processing, you can go to ACL, EMNLP, and ACL. Right? So these are the conference from the NLP. And we also have the general AI. Actually, general AI means, some, general AI problem. You can go to Triple AI, which is one of the biggest AI conference in this world. So one source, you can find the data set and the problems and the questions is from those top tier academic conferences. Okay. Yeah. So any questions about this one? So I can show you. I will send this into the chat channel so you can have a copy of that. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to my page. Yeah, there's also another conference which is not top tier, which is not the top tier academic AI conference, but it's a conference actually very related to this course, which is IAAI. It's called Innovation Technology or something. So let me check IAAI. So it's a joint conference with Triple AI. Let me check. IAAI. Oh, it's this one. It's called Innovative Applications of Artificial Intelligence. Yeah, so this is of course very related to this cost risk project. It shows a lot of innovative applications by using the artificial intelligence. And if you check the paper title, you can see AI in health, like multitask learning. Multitask learning is kind of machine learning algorithm, right? Multitask learning for diabetic retinopathy grading and lesson segmentation, right? That's the application, and this is a method, right? A natural language processing system for extracting evidence of a drug repurposing from scientific publications. So this, you can see, this is applications, and this is a method, basically a natural language processing system, improving ECG classification using generative advisory networks. Most students, like just mentioned, you are working on the generative advisory networks, right? So these people use the generative networks to improve the ECG classification. That's the application, and that's the method, right? So AI in health and AI in computer support marketing, like how machine learning is improving U.S. Navy customer support, right? So this is application, right? Improve the U.S. Navy customer support. This is AI in computer support and marketing, like online evaluation of audiences for targeted advertising, real bandit experiments, and AI visual inception and detection, right? Online visual object detection platform, and embedding convolutional neural network-based defect finder, right? Defect finder. This is an application, and this is a method, right? So basically, we expect you to have some project like this, right? AI in trade and finance, discovery news, a generic framework for financial news recommendation. The financial news recommendation now is application, right? And the generic framework, I don't know what's that mean, but if you read the paper, you will find that there's an algorithm or system of doing that, right? And trusted, this is, okay, so emergency readiness and response, like EMS protocol driven concept traction for cognitive assistance in emergency responses, right? So that's the application, and they use machine learning algorithm. So this is very good source. By checking this, you will find many interesting problems that people want to solve by using the machine learning algorithms, right? That's one source. So let me see whether anyone have any questions. Can we use the same link for next week online classes? As I'm offshore students, I can't attend the classes. No, next week we will go. Well, there's a large chance that we will go back to the face-to-face. But even it's a face-to-face, but if it's a face-to-face, we will not use a Zoom link. I will remove this link. It's not a Zoom. It will not be a Zoom class. It will be a face-to-face class. But you can check. Let me go back. You can go to this Echo 360. You can go to here. And all the courses will be live streaming. You can still check those courses, but I guess you cannot ask questions during the course. Okay, that's for the remote students. Okay, let's go back to here. Yeah, AI for trust and the trust of AI, like automated conversation review. To surface virtual assistants, right? So this is application, and here, well, we develop some algorithm. So here is one document that actually you can check. I encourage you to check this one to think about your project based on this. This is a very good example. Okay, so any questions for this one? Okay, so there's another source which is called, I will send those links to you. I will put all these links and the conference I mentioned in the My Union later. I will open a discussion section and just put it online. Okay, so you can check. And I will also put this recorded video online so you can come back to check. Okay, another source you can use is called this one. It's so YC is a very famous, actually, a founding company. They invest a lot of famous companies. So let's see the AI and machine learning sector. These are some companies they recently founded. So DataSoul, a tool meant to help humans label machine learning data sets more accurately and efficiently through things like autocorrect, autostage, and keyboard cookies. Okay, so there's a company like they want to develop some tools for people to, because we know the data set is very important for the machine learning. So it's a large industry, it's a large business that to label the data, right? We do need the people to label, this is a bag, this is a dog, this is a cat, right? So the labeling industry is very big. So this company, I think they want to develop some algorithm or machine learning algorithm or design some platform for those people to more easily and accurately to label the data. Okay, so this one build automatic data-driven job cost estimate. So you see, this is a very interesting application. Data-driven job cost estimates to construction companies. You upload your plans, and one build says it can prepare accurate bids in minutes. Company projects around. Okay, so basically, if you just simply upload your plan, and it will give you a price estimation of the from the construction companies, right? So it's called one build. So it's also a machine learning related application, right? The input is a plan, and output is automatic cost. So if you can also try to find out those applications on those data to see whether you can develop. So in this case, this one build is clearly a kind of regression problem, right? So because we want to output the real continuous output value, it's not a classification problem, it's a regression problem. So you see, this is an application was $600,000. So we wish you can, have similar ideas like this. It would be great. So Zumo Labs use game engine to generate pre-labeled training data for computer vision system. It's AI, it's much computer vision related. It's about image generation, right? So in computer vision, we need a lot of images to feed into the system to train our model, right? So, but it's very, there are many privacy issues, or the IP issues to get the data from the online. So if you can use the game engine to, because currently the game is becoming real and more real and real. So if we can use the game engine to generate more image generated data, it will be cheap and easy. So this company is about, this idea is about use game engine and machine learning algorithm to automatically generate pre-labeled training data, right? So then you don't need to have people to label them. It's a great idea. So yeah, there are many, ideas about hardware and robotics. I think this relevant. So you can check the AI and machine learning one. There are many interesting startup companies and applications. So it gave you some good examples, like what kind of applications are novel, what kind of things we are interested in. So it gave you many examples. Right. So there are two sources, as I mentioned. First source, go to the recently conference website. CAP, RCC, VCCV, ACL, EMLP, and ACL. You go to those conference, check those papers. They provide a lot of data set. Normally, they will have the link, the download link of the data set. For example, for this paper, this is a paper we published in CVPR 2018. So in this paper, we propose a new application, which is about giving a human nature language instruction and to a robot, and the robot needs to navigate to the right location. For example, head upstairs and walk past the piano through an archway, right? So we give an instruction to the simulated agent, simulated robot in a simulated environment, and we ask the robot to move to the right location. This is kind of novel application we want to develop, right? So and we propose a data set, and the data set we call the room-to-room data set, which can be downloaded from here. The Premium Spoon, this is the website we built. You can download data set from here, and we also provide starting code and the simulator. We provide some simple method and provide the evaluation. That's the ideal project. So if you check those papers, you can find those data sets, right? So basically, if you go to computer vision or ACL, those NLP conferences, there are already a lot of existing data sets. It's one way to localize the data sets. That's the first way. The second way is to check out some recent startup ideas, and they have some good suggestions about what kind of applications you can have, what kind of data set you have. And of course, you can also go to the Kaggle, check the Kaggle data set, check the Kaggle challenges, so to see whether you can find any new problems that you want to solve. Okay. Any questions? Just to copy paste all the conferences I just mentioned, the ICML, NIPS, computer vision, we have CPI, CVCCV, you can use, and I will also copy this IAAI documents, and this, okay, just copy and paste all the documents I mentioned in the chat room. I will also put it on the My Union so you can have a look, have time. So any questions? If you have no more questions, I think this is the end of this lecture. Let me check our schedule. Yeah, in next week, which will be our first case study, we invited one guest speaker from the AMO. He will give us a talk about how they use machine learning in primary industries and mining. And after that, I will give you a technical session in the week of next week. So then the fourth week is about your project, right? So you need to start from now. Okay, so you don't have a lot of time. You have 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks to think about your project. And before that, we also have the workshop session. In the workshop session, we can also discuss your project ideas. And if you have any questions, post it on the discussion channel. You can post the questions. And you also can send me a message or send Mahadi, our tutor, a message about your project to ask for our feedback. Okay, so that's it. I wish you can find an interesting project. And if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. So wish next week we can go back to the university and have the face-to-face class. And don't worry about and for the remote students, don't worry about that. We have a live streaming for the even for the the face-to-face course. You can access to it, but not via the Zoom. You need to go to this one. Okay. That's it. Any questions? Okay, so thanks. That's it. I will upload the video later. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.